Wrapping the lower torso and upper legs involves the use of umbilical tape. Pre-cut umbilical tape is on the side of the patient. Using the stretch gauze, the length is measured out in an unstretched way. One of the common errors is to stretch this and then cut it. Placing it on the patient, cutting a second stretch gauze for the opposite leg. We are going to construct a pair of pants. We know approximately where the leg meets the torso, and we cut a half moon in that position. Going to the lower legs, the upper portion of the half moon is placed over both feet. And the lower portion of the half moon is placed over the left leg in this particular case. The stretch gauze is then moved up the body. The patient is lifted to allow this to be placed over the buttocks region. The patient is then rolled one direction, and the stretch gauze is placed. The patient is rolled to the other direction, and the stretch gauze is finalized in its position. The second stretch gauze is used to place over the right leg. Umbilical tape is used to secure the two pieces of stretch gauze. This type of dressing will cover anterior wounds, hip wounds, upper leg wounds, and posterior wounds involving the lower back, the sacrum, and the buttocks. Square knots or bow knots can be used to secure the two pieces of stretch gauze together. The advantage is no tape is placed on the skin. In burn victims who are badly burned in these areas, they cannot have tape applied to the skin because of the amount of moisture. The patient is rolled to secure the posterior portion of the stretch gauze to each other. A close-up of this demonstrates that bow knots were used in this particular case. Excess umbilical tape is then cut. Special burn dressing is then applied. The patient is rolled to the left to cover posterior wounds. The stretch gauze is lifted from the body, and the special burn dressing is placed to cover the open wounds. In this particular case, it would be covering the sacrum and lower back. The advantage of stretch gauze is that it can be adjusted at any time. The patient is rolled to the right and final adjustments are made. Throughout the day, if changes are made as the patient moves, adjustments can be made. If one were dressing the hip wounds, the special burn dressing is applied to the hip and secured with the stretch gauze. The patient is rolled to the other side and adjustments are made so that the special burn dressing is not folded on itself. If the patient is laying on their back, this folded special burn dressing would be a source of discomfort. No tape is applied to the skin. In areas where there are sacral wounds or wounds close to the anal verge, the special burn dressing can be used again and secured with the stretch gauze. In this case, if the wound extends onto the posterior leg, it can be then applied to that area and secured with the stretch gauze. Always check to make certain that the special burn dressing is not folded on itself. Lifting the patient, as demonstrated here, is much easier sometimes than to roll the patient. It also demonstrates the positioning of the special burn dressing.